Welcome back to the quickest podcast ever, brought to you by Kohl's.
Today's topic, Father's Day.
Yep, just got 25% off some Champion t-shirts at Kohl's. My dad is all about staying active.
Sounds terrific.
Was that a dad joke?
It felt fitting. Like the yard games I got from my husband. They were 50% off and I got Kohl's Cash.
It's the best feeling, isn't it?
What, the deals or the Kohl's Cash? Or getting it in less than an hour with free store pickup.
Well, all the above.
Select styles. Sale ends June 20th. Coupons do not apply to Champion. See store or Kohl's.com for details.
Look, staying healthy isn't easy. Watching your diet, hitting the gym, avoiding stress. But a good night's rest helps boost your overall health and wellness. And it couldn't be easier. The new Sleep Number 360 Smart Bed is the only bed that effortlessly adjusts and responds to both of you. The result? You wake up ready for anything. Proven quality sleep is life-changing sleep. During our summer sale, save up to $500 on select Sleep Number 360 Smart Beds, plus special financing, only for a limited time. Special financing subject to credit approval. Minimum monthly payments required. See store for details.
This is Cougar Sports with Ben Criddle on ESPN 960. And it's time for Keeping Up with the Cougars, brought to you by dentalprosofutah.com.
Welcome back, Cougar Sports, ESPN 960. This is Cougar Country. I'm Ben Criddle, broadcasting live from our Wasatch Medical Clinic, WasatchMedicalClinic.com studios. It is time for Keeping Up with the Cougars, always brought to you by our good friends at Dental Pros of Utah, dentalprosofutah.com. All I'm asking you to do is get a second opinion if you've been told you need a filling, crown, a root canal. Why? Well, they're utilizing minimally invasive techniques. These are biomimetic techniques to rebuild your teeth layer by layer so you don't have to settle for crowns and root canals later on in life. Rebuild your teeth layer by layer so you don't have to settle for crowns or root canals later on in life at Dental Pros of Utah, dentalprosofutah.com. Let's welcome in a former BYU great, a BYU legend representing Pendleton Performance. Be the one at Jordan Pendleton's facility. Let's welcome in JP Penny One. What's up, JP?
Hey, what's going on, Ben? How you doing, brother?
Doing fantastic, man. How the heck are you? I know you've been super busy Q1, Q2, man, with the new facility, new digs, new training. I mean, it's been pretty crazy the last 6 months. How's it been, man?
It's been good, man. It's been a fun and stressful but really exciting year, man. So it's been good. We're just, what are we, mid-June now? So football's coming up quick, so we're just trying to get everybody ready, man. But it's been an awesome year so far.
What's changed at your facility? What can you tell us about your new facility?
Oh, it's just, I mean, same old. I always tell everybody, like, it doesn't really matter how much space you have or what equipment you have. You know, you can make it work with anything if you know how to program and if you know how to get your athletes to buy into what you're doing. So I would just say, all in all, it's been a bit obviously a bigger space. We've got more amenities. Obviously a little bit more turf space. But as far as like how we approach everything, nothing's really changed. But it's just been awesome. Like it's been it's been 7 years. I've been waiting for this for 7 years. So it's just good to get in like a new spot with, just kind of a breath of fresh air and kind of almost feel like there's a lot more motivation, man. It's hard just being in the same spot every day, all day, every day, 365. So it's just been a good breath of fresh air and yeah, man, it's been fun. So, but as far as what we do, like nothing's really changed. We're just rolling as is.
Love it. P1athlete.com. That's P1athlete. Be the one with Jordan Pendleton and his crew at P1athlete.com. I'll tell you what, one of the athletes you've been training since his arrival, since his return from a mission, is Dallin Holker, BYU tight end. Now, we loved Dallin prior to his mission. He looks even better now. Looks lean, looks really explosive. And I know footwork drills, some people say, oh, this is overrated. I mean, what does this really tell us? I'm like, a 6'4", 6'5", 235-pound tight end shouldn't be able to move like this. Tell us a little bit about Dallin and the progress he's made.
Yeah, Dallin's unbelievable, man. I've been high on Dallin for a while now. In fact, I remember, I trained some of his teammates clear back when they were in high school, And I went and watched them play. They were playing at Lehigh. It was actually Cade Moore and Hayden Erickson and some of those guys on the Lehigh team. Dallin was a transfer from Westlake, so he couldn't play on varsity the year prior. So, and I try and go and support and watch as many athletes as we can and go to games. And so he had to play on the JV team because of the transfer situation. He couldn't play varsity. So I had really no idea about him. And I go and watch a Lehigh game, and they're juniors this year. And I just remember, I'm going to watch these other two who are phenomenal players. In fact, Cade Moore is, a receiver at BYU right now, and Hayden Erickson's actually playing tight end at University of Utah. So they had a really good team. But I just remember watching the game, and I was like, who the hell is number 5? That was all I thought the whole time. I was like, who is this kid? And, it's very rare. Like, Ben, you and I have played at a decently high level and, started at BYU. And it's very rare you go to a high school game and you kind of get, inspired or you start noticing somebody that's, pretty spectacular. I'd say, Zach Wilson was one of those guys when I coached against him when I was coaching at Sky Ridge. Nate Ritchie was one of those guys where you see in high school and you're like, who is this kid? And we saw what he did. He, went and started at Utah as a true freshman. Dylan Holker was another one of those guys in high school where going into the game, I didn't know of him because he didn't play on the varsity team the year before. And he absolutely dominated the game. And so I've been high on Dallin, and I was fortunate enough for his Lehigh buddies to start bringing him in to train with us. And, when he first started with us, as good as he was on the football field, he was actually really raw in the training room as far as his movement, as far as his efficiency. And, he was leaking a ton of potential. And, he just never really had, I don't think, any coaching or training experience before. So he's actually really raw, and it really shocked me. And I can tell you this much, the athlete that he is right now in comparison to when he blew my mind in high school, which then he went on his senior year he was, 5A MVP. Lehigh won the state championship for the first time in I don't know how long, and they had, had a really good team. But Dallin, now, like athletically and the way that he moves and just how much more skilled he is in this environment is night and day from when I first started watching him play football. And that really started, man, when he went on his mission. He actually had to come back early because the whole COVID thing, and he was back for probably 3 or 4 months. And that was when I saw like a whole new Dallin. And we've been training him for a couple of years, and he was still pretty raw. He was getting better, but that was when I was like, holy crap. And, selfishly, I was hoping he would just bag the mission and stay because I'm like, they got Zach Wilson, and I just felt like they were going to have such a good team offensively. He went out, but he trained with us that whole 4 months, and he went back out on his mission. And he was in here the day he got home. He still had his elder badge on, and he just hit the ground running ever since, man. And I'll say this, I've always said he's an NFL talent. I've always compared him to Dennis Pitta because I played against Dennis Pitta at practice every single day. And Dennis Pitta was one of the best tight ends. I think he would have been a Pro Bowler if he would have stayed healthy, and I was fortunate enough to go against him every day. But Dallin reminds me so much of Dennis as far as his body, his size, the way that he can move. And I would say Dallin's probably a little bit better athlete than Dennis. Obviously, he's not on Dennis's level yet and has a long way to go, but that's the best comparison I can give you. I'd say he's a slightly more athletic Dennis. Is it going to translate to being as good of a tight end as Dennis? We'll see, but, he's got the potential is 100% there, and he's only going to get better. I mean, he's still pretty fresh off his mission. So, but he looks really good, man. He looks really good.
He looks fantastic. And some people question just how tall he is. Is he a legit, 6'4", 6'5"?
Hey, well, I'm 6'2", and I hate standing next to him because he makes me look small. So I mean, he's if he's not 6'5", he's 6'4" and 3/4. However specific you want to get. He's a big dude, and this is what's crazy is he's starting to really pay attention to his nutrition and what he's putting into his body and certain things, and so his body type right now. He's already an NFL guy, and I just told him if you could just don't worry about putting on weight right now, just let it come on. Obviously, worry about your nutrition and what you're putting into your body. But I just told him, man, if you can just gain 10 pounds in the next year, in the next 2 years, that's not a lot of weight. He's going to be, he could be a 240 pounds, 6'5" tight end. That's as heavy as he'll need to be. And this is the thing about Dallin is, he played receiver in high school.
Yep.
So as far as his ability on the field, you've got a guy that's used to playing receiver and being out in space and torching DBs. So he's going to be a very difficult matchup when he's 230 plus at 6'5", and he's going against linebackers and middle linebackers and inside guys that are trying to match up with him. So I think not only could he play tight end, but I think they could put him out in space, and he's athletic enough and he's efficient enough at being able to, be in more of a receiver position as well. So I think they're going to be able to utilize him in a ton of different areas.
BYU legend Jordan Pendleton here on ESPN 960, P1athlete.com. That's P1athlete.com. Trained to be the one with JP. You mentioned Dennis Pitta as your player comp. Dennis' freshman year, 17 receptions, 176 yards, 2 touchdowns, 10.4 yards per reception. Dallin Holker, 19 receptions as a true freshman, 235 yards, 1 touchdown, 12.4 yards per reception. He's on yeah, man, it's not too far off, man, as a true freshman, getting in some reps, some numbers there. And then Dennis came off a mission, went 59 for 813, 5 TDs. Man, that's going to be tough because there's a lot of targets to go around this next season with Isaac Rex, Puka's there, Sampson, Gunner, Neal. There's a lot of dudes. What type of impact do you think Dallin can have next season on the BYU offense?
Yeah, well, I think he can have a big impact, and obviously, I don't know exactly what the coaching staff is looking for. I just look at Dallin like going in as a true freshman at the time when Matt Bushman was one of the highest, anticipated, tight ends in the country at the time. He was supposed to get drafted. I know he had his injury, which kind of hurt him, and I think he's a little bit older. But seeing Dallin go in as a true freshman and get the nod right away with a teammate in Matt Bushman that was already one of the best, tight ends in the country. That I think that says a lot, and so I don't think I think, like I said, Dallin's a guy that he's there to play tight end, but I really think they can use him in multiple areas, and I don't think I just look at BYU's offenses over the last decade or decade plus, and our best offenses were when we had aside from this last season, we had good tight ends. You remember Pitta and when we had Pitta and George together at tight end, all it did was open it up for Austin Collie and guys like Mike Reed, and so I feel like with that much talent, you're going to have a ton of options to spread the ball around on offense. But I look at Dallin this year specifically. He's got some experience under his belt. He played his true freshman year. He's had obviously he's went on a mission, but he's had some time frames during that mission where he's been able to train really hard. He got home at a good enough time where he's been able to, I think, get a lot of training in and prepare his body for a season. And so, I think he could have a big impact this year. That's just my personal opinion, and we'll see what he does. But I'm excited to see him back on the field for sure.
Jordan Pendleton, ladies and gentlemen, make sure you're following him on Twitter, Penny_1, and on all the social media platforms. Check out P1 Athlete. That's P1athlete.com. apispreakercomepispreakercomepispreakercomepispreakercomepispreakercomepispreakercomepispreakercomepispreakercomepispreakercomepispreakercomepispreakercomepispreakercomepispreakercomepispreakercomepispreakercomepispreakercomepispreakercomepispreakercomepispreakercomepispreakercomepispreakercomepispreakercomepispreakercomepispreakercomepispreakercomepispreakercomepispreakercomepispreakercomepispreakercomepispreakercomepispreakercomepispreakercomepispreakercomepispreakercomepispreakercomepispreakercomepispreakercomepispreakercomepispreakercomepispreakercomepispreakercomepispreakercomepispreakercomepispreakercomepispreakercomepispreakercomepispreakercomepispreakercomepispreakercomepispreakercomepispreakercomepispreakercomepispreakercomepispreakercomepispreakercomepispreakercomepispreakercomepispreakercomepispreakercomepispreakercomepispreakercomepispreakercomepispreakercome Appreciate you hopping on to give us an update on Dallin Holker. Big things in the future. He looks fantastic right now, and you deserve a lot of credit, as well as he does, and his family for putting him in a position to be able to train with you. But really impressive work thus far.
Yeah, absolutely, man. No, I appreciate it. And it's all him, man. He's a freak, and I'll tell you what, he puts in the work. You know, like we don't take the credit for guys like him. It's like it's him. He shows up every single day. He just walked in right now. So he shows up every day, and you know, he's a good guy, has a good family. I joke to him. I say, you're not even the most athletic person in your family. His little sister Haley is. So, anyways, it's always great chatting with you, man.
Appreciate you, JP. We'll chat with you again later. Thanks so much to Jordan Pendleton, P1athlete.com. Gertie, your thoughts on Jordan Pendleton? Is he overhyping Dallin, or do you think Dallin's the real deal?
I think he's the real deal, absolutely. And I've said this before on air, but where he actually impressed me the most was watching him play basketball.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
I love watching these guys play football. I'm like, yeah, he's good. And then I'll just I got to cover a Lehigh game. Oh, Dallin Holker's on the team. Holy cow, he's really good.
Yeah.
He's moving like a ballerina out there. Yeah. This guy's legit. Seriously, when I see these kids play basketball, that's where it really pops out. I've talked about Puka playing basketball. Holy cow. He could absolutely be a 4-star basketball recruit if he put in the time. I have no problem saying that. He's that talented. Dallin Holker could have played Division I collegiate basketball. Well, we don't say Division I. You know what I'm saying, right?
Yep.
If he put in the time, absolutely he could have. He was that good. But yeah, this guy's a phenomenal athlete. Jordan compared to Dennis Pitta, absolutely that's what I was thinking of. Kind of that hybrid type, maybe Andrew George type. I see him as an Andrew George type when I think of Dallin Holker's ability and all that. But man, he said he might be even more athletic than Dennis Pitta. That's pretty crazy, man.
Yeah.
But I'm not going to argue with Jordan Pendleton. This is a guy that I mean he's seen both guys up close. He's training Dallin Holker. But, yeah, he just adds to this wealth of talent, and you think, yeah, let's go. This guy's going to start. Wait, he's got Isaac Rex to compete with, a few other guys, Carter Weed. It's ridiculous, Criddle. It's absolutely ridiculous, the depth of talent. But man, in a few years, Dallin Holker absolutely has the potential to be one of the better tight ends BYU's ever had.
Well, what did you think of those stats, comparatively speaking? Dennis and Dallin kind of on par with each other, at least first year.
Jeez.
We'll see what happens this next season. All right, we'll go to break. Coming up next, I believe Stuart Mandel hopped on to BYU Sports Nation earlier today, and he's talked about the college football playoff expansion to 12 teams. We'll discuss that next here and read between the lines on your Cougar Sports Insider Radio Network, 94.5 FM and ESPN 960.
Janae and Golick Jr. This is an ESPN 960 Sports Center update.
Starting off today in track and field, women's track and field coach Diljit Taylor shares on Instagram that 5 of the women's distance runners are headed to the Olympic trials next week after their performances at the NCAA Nationals. Congrats to the women. On the other side, Garrett Marsing has also qualified for the Olympic trials. Congrats to him. And Anna Kat Bennett has claimed the NCAA title in the women's 1500 meter. With her title, she helped lead the women to a 10th place finish. On the other side, BYU men's track and field team finished 17th in the outdoor track and field championships. Moving on, USA Volleyball announces they are proud to announce the 12-player men's team that will compete for the U.S. at the Olympic Games in Tokyo, pending approval from the United States Olympics and Paralympic Committee. With that, former BYU volleyball player Taylor Sander has made the roster, with Ben Patch and Taylor Sander as alternatives. And moving on, and BYU football recruiting, BYU has received the commitment of Dallin Johnson, a class of 2024 defensive lineman who is 6'3", 270 pounds, out of Springville. Lastly, BYU football media day is on Thursday. Tune into ESPN 960 for the latest and exciting news that comes out of that day. I'm Taylor Decker, and this has been your ESPN 960 Cougar Sports Center update.
Ever wonder what coaches are really saying during their press conferences? Well, Ben Criddle is here to break it all down in a Reading Between the Lines segment. Ben breaks down the latest sound from BYU coaches and players right now on Cougar Sports.
Welcome back, Cougar Sports, ESPN 960. This is Cougar Country. I'm Ben Criddle, broadcasting live from our Wasatch Medical Clinic, wasatchmedicalclinic.com studios. It is time to read Between the Lines. That's going to be brought to you by Dental Pros of Utah, dentalprosofutah.com. If, as I mentioned before, if you've had a filling done before, like Gurney, you've been there before, right, where you get a filling and you're like, hey, I got a filling done. Like, why is my tooth still sensitive? Well, it's because you probably, or the dentist, went with an amalgam filling, and there's a little bit of flex with that filling when you cure it, right? That little, that violet light that they put into your mouth. You're like, well, you're curing it, and like it's hard and it feels good, but why is it that it's still sensitive? Well, it's an amalgam filling, and there's a little bit of pressure still on your nerve. Well, you're not going to get that with a biomimetic filling. You're not going to have that sensation anymore. You got the filling because you wanted to get rid of the tooth sensitivity. Well, you can get rid of that tooth sensitivity with a biomimetic filling. You can also avoid crowns and root canals at Dental Pros of Utah. Hit them up today. Go to Dental Pros of Utah, dentalprosofutah.com, and get a second opinion. So Stuart Mandel of The Athletic hopped on to BYU Sports Nation earlier today and discussed the college football playoff expanding to 12 teams. So this has been a topic over the last, 4 or 5 days. Let's discuss it. Let's read between the lines. Stuart Mandel, The Athletic. Do you feel like the CFP expanding to 12 teams is already a done deal, Stu?
I don't think that people as prominent as Greg Sankey, the SEC commissioner, and Bob Bowlesby, the Big 12 commissioner, go on a call with the media on Thursday and espouse the merits of a 12-team playoff if they thought it might get shot down by either their colleagues or by the presidents. I think now it becomes a formality that they're going to do this, that it's going to go to 12 teams. Now, some of the details that people have had various reactions to about the bowls hosting the quarterfinals, or maybe some of the selection criteria, that all could change. That's all to be hammered out, I think, over the summer. But I think we can say with 99% certainty that college football is going to have a 12-team playoff starting in either 2023 or 2026.
There it is. That's the projection per Stuart Mandel. It's going to happen. It's going to happen. Why did they decide on expanding to 12 teams rather than the previously mentioned 8-team model?
Yeah, it caught us all off guard. I mean, years and years of talking about this. It was always eight teams with 6 automatic bids. But I do think that what we have failed to account for is 8 teams was not going to do much for the SEC. Obviously, Greg Sankey is the most powerful commissioner now, certainly after both Jim Delaney and John Swofford retired. And the way they look at it is, there are 4 at-large spots right now. Any of the 4 teams can get in there. The SEC had 2 in there one year. If you go to 8, but 6 of the berths are predetermined, that puts a cap on how many teams they or any league can put into it. I think we got to 12 as a compromise because the Pac-12, the Big 12, certainly the Group of 5, their most important thing was having some sort of automatic entry. It's not quite automatic in this model, but it's pretty close, if you're in the top 6 conference champions. And then for the SEC, if they want to put 3 teams, 4 teams, 5 teams, whatever it may be in the 12-team playoff, go for it.
Feel free. There's a compromise there. Is it interesting to you at all, Gurney, that the most powerful individual in college football, it sounds at least one of the most powerful, is Sankey of the SEC, or is that kind of known?
Right.
That's known.
Yeah.
He's the guy.
Yeah.
He's the dude.
He's the Wizard of Oz.
He's the wizard.
Yeah.
The all-powerful wizard. Well, the Wizard of Oz wasn't all-powerful, was he? Or is he? I don't know. Yeah. Would a 12-team playoff hurt or help the importance of the regular season, Stu?
I mean, I think it's both. It helps the regular season in that way more games down the stretch have playoff implications. Basically, any team that's still in the mix for their conference championship, and that can be, there'll be teams that are pretty far down the rankings, but still have a shot to get in there and win their division. And if they win the conference, have a shot at the playoffs. So many, many more games will be meaningful, but no one game will have nearly the stakes that we've seen basically throughout the history of college football. And to me, that's a shame. Maybe it's unavoidable at this point, but I just think that when I think back on college football, some of the most memorable moments, and take the kick six, the Alabama-Auburn kick six, just a, remarkable play, but made all the more meaningful by the fact that with that one kick return, Alabama's national title hopes were done that year. They were 11-0, and with that one play, done. And in this model, you could lose not once, not twice. You could possibly lose 3 games if you're in the right conference and still make the playoff. So I think that will be something that's lost, but I think people will adjust to it because we're used to that in other sports where, in the NFL, the most important games down the stretch aren't necessarily the ones involving the first place teams. It's the ones who are vying for a wild card spot. And there's going to be a little of that in this as well.
So, agree or disagree with Stu? Does it lessen the prestige, the importance? Do you feel like it undermines what college football has always been about for so long?
Yeah, you worry about that, and that was my initial concern, just because college football is our favorite sport, and it's a favorite sport just because of the format and what we've liked and all that, but I feel a lot of that's been blown up just with the transition to the 14 playoffs, started with the BCS and whatnot, and bowl games really aren't there, but I think that's more than made up for by just how intense the end of the regular season can be now, where you have games that just mean all that much more toward the end of the year. I mean, he just brought up one game. Yeah, you miss out for that one game, but I think there's going to be a lot of other games where you have teams like pulling extraordinary upsets and all that to get in, and there's going to be more of that. So I think it's going to make the regular season more exciting, personally. I think that's going to play out.
I like it. I like the take. Should BYU join a conference to have a shot at getting into the college? And by conference, they mean G5 conference. Should BYU join a G5 conference to have a shot at getting into the college football playoff? Stu.
Welcome back to the quickest podcast ever, brought to you by Kohl's.
Today's topic, Father's Day.
Yep, just got 25% off some Champion t-shirts at Kohl's. My dad is all about staying active.
Sounds terrific.
Was that a dad joke?
It felt fitting. Like the yard games I got from my husband. They were 50% off and I got Kohl's Cash.
It's the best feeling, isn't it?
What, the deals or the Kohl's Cash? Or getting it in less than an hour with free store pickup?
Well, all the above.
Select styles. Sale ends June 20th. Coupons do not apply to Champion. See store or Kohls.com for details.
I mean, I think this was the best possible model for BYU. I've been saying for years I thought they needed to join a conference because they're in this, you look back to last year, right? It was New Year's Six bowl or bust. And once they lost that one game, you go from that to the Boca Raton Bowl. There's not much of a reward there. If it had gone to 8 with 6 automatic berths for conferences, I would say they had to join a conference the next day because they'd have almost no shot. But now you're talking about 12 teams this is the most important part, 6 at-large berths. I mean, Notre Dame, for one, is a big winner in this. Although they'll never get to host a first-round bye, and that's what people gravitated to first, they'll have many, at least historically, they'd have many more seasons where they made the playoff. And that could be the case for BYU. Now, I just think that's so much more enticing rather than feeling like, they just had 0 shot at the 4-team playoff. If they had a dream season, their best case was they're going to go to the Fiesta Bowl and play somebody in a game that just wasn't as important as the playoff. Now, if they can get that high, they can get one of those at-large berths. I think that's a big win for them.
What's your take on that, Gurney? He says he's always been an advocate for conference affiliation for BYU, but with the 12 expansion, it sounds like he's softened just a little bit on it.
Yeah, a little bit, but BYU's still going to have to run the table. I think we're in agreement there.
Yep.
A one-loss BYU team will never get into that thing.
No. Some people think that, though, Gurney. There are people out there, like BYU fans, still hold on to hope that they can be a part of what Teeples calls the cabal. I call it the oligopoly. No, you can't. You can't. You're not. There's a reason why they set up the systems that you broke in 1984. Media was too powerful at that time. The media in the late 70s, early 80s, they were too powerful. and BYU captured the hearts of the media and the greater fan population. That's what happened. And you know what they said at that time? Never again. Never again will you enter into our house and take our trophy. This is our, I just watched Knives Out, our ancestral home. Have you watched Knives Out?
Oh, yeah.
This is our ancestral home. Marta, BYU. You're not taking it from us. No, that's why they set up the systems that led up to the current system that we have. They need to have control. They're not going to let you in. They won't. So, I mean, I don't know what the answer is. I don't want to sit here and rain on your parade, but at the same time, like, just because you go to a G5 conference, do you feel like it gives you more access? I'm not so certain. I think Cincinnati's in a unique situation. You do wonder if you're a part of the AAC whether or not Micah Resko is a likable individual, I feel. Who's more likable in that group? Is it Craig Thompson or is it Micah Resko?
It can't be Craig Thompson.
He was a part of the four-man working group.
Yeah.
You have to wonder.
He has such stigma around him, though.
Oh, I understand that, but he was in the four-man working group of the College Football Playoff Committee. You know what I mean? Like, he's sitting there with Sankey. He's with Bowlesby. He's with Swarbrick of Notre Dame. They're arm in arm, buddy old pals. Like, you don't get to that position just because you're an unlikable guy. I always thought that Micah Resko was the more likable guy. But I think Micah Resko is a little bit more of a nuisance to those. Even though he's claimed a power system, and he's, he has to make these claims, and they're just like, shut up, Mike. Shut up, Mike. Whereas Craig's over here just quietly doing his thing, and so like, oh, maybe we give Craig Thompson a bone. You know what I mean? Like, there's something there, and I'm reading between the lines, and I'm assuming too much without enough data before me, but it's sports radio, and I wonder. And it makes me wonder. Isn't that an Alanis Morissette song? No. No?
I don't think so.
Man. I think I'm just going back into the past here. At any rate, am I making sense here? Any sense? Who's BYU's toughest opponent right now, Stu, on their upcoming schedule? What would you say?
I think that me personally, it could go either way between Utah and Arizona State. I think those are the two best teams in the South. I don't really have a strong lean either way, but I would not be surprised if those two games end up being, if by the time you get to the end of the season, if those two end up with a better record than USC. Now, playing at USC at the very end like that, obviously that game could end up having big stakes for both teams, frankly. But as I look at the Pac-12 South this coming season, Utah picking up Charlie Brewer, the transfer from Baylor, was a big deal. This unprecedented situation with the super seniors, nobody has ever picked up a 4-year starter who's going to be possibly the 5th-year starter. So, and obviously Kyle Whittingham's got a good program there. So those two games back-to-back obviously really stand out to me.
Yeah, there you go. That's his breakdown of the toughest games. What, agree or disagree with that? What are the toughest games on BYU's schedule, would you say, Gurney?
Utah, and I think Arizona State's going to be good.
Yeah, Arizona State's really good.
Yeah. Oh, I need to look at the schedule. Virginia's going to be good. That's going to be a tough game.
Yeah, it'll be a tough game as well.
USC's always interesting. Always interesting. I could see USC anywhere in the playoff consideration to a team that just totally flubbed it in the regular season. That team seems so
volatile,
up and down, right? Boise State's going to be tough. You know that. Baylor, who knows? Your boy Rolovich in Washington State.
Watch out for like Rolo.
But the two toughest games I see on the schedule are going to be Utah and Arizona State, in my mind.
Yeah, they're all. It's hard. I think Utah is going to be really, really tough for BYU. There's way too much returning.
Yeah.
There's way too much returning. So I kind of lean Utah just because it's also a rivalry game. So from a strength of schedule standpoint, at the end of the season, will it be the toughest game? Per Sagarin, per ESPN, FPI, etc. Maybe not, but I think that for BYU, that's the toughest game. What constitutes a strong strength of schedule for BYU, would you say, Stu?
I think it's going to depend on the committee was devised to value strength of schedule. I would say 7 years of this, we've seen selective application of that. Generally speaking, at least in terms of the 4-team playoff, and at the top, it's basically still been 0 losses is better than 1 loss is better than 2. I don't think strength of schedule has played a huge part there. Now, as you go further down, they do seem to stick to that a little bit more. As we've been looking back at past seasons and applying this model, 2018, Washington State had Gardner Minshew. They had a very good team. They finished 10-2. And I think I just mentioned it before, they would have been behind a 9-3 Penn State team. That's solely a schedule strength issue. So if BYU is going to continue to play schedules like that, obviously it depends in part on how those teams do, how those Pac-12 teams shake out. But no, I absolutely think the committee would reward that. And frankly, I think before they even go into this new playoff, they're going to have to spell out some new rules for the committee to make sure they have to make sure that they reward strength of schedule. Otherwise, I would game the system and we just want to be one of the 6 highest ranked. So we want to have the best record possible. Who cares who we play? You want to avoid teams gaming the system like that. That playing a schedule like the one that they're playing this season is obviously, almost impossible to navigate through with a record that would even get you high enough to get that New Year's 6 at large spot. But I certainly could see it. I could see a team that finishes with 1 loss against that schedule being considered a playoff team.
It's going to be tough, though. Nothing is guaranteed. And you better hope that strength of schedule is such that it puts you into a situation where you truly are in that conversation. Because this last year, even as an undefeated team, you were in the conversation, but you weren't in the conversation, right? Because you didn't have the SOS. And just because you had 1 or 2 Power 5s, let's say you would have beaten 1 or 2 of those Power 5s. I don't think, and just replace Louisiana Tech or replace any one of the G5s that they demolished. UTSA, for instance, a close one, right? Say you beat a Power 5 team, and instead, I don't know if it would have been the straw that broke the camel's back in order to truly be in that conversation. At any rate, a couple last questions for Stu from the BYU Sports Nation crew. Do you think the 6 at-large berths should be controlled by, computer rankings or the CFP committee? I'm telling you, give me metadata.
We tried computer rankings with the BCS and people hated it. I think, people have a short memory, but anytime the computers deviated from the polls, people just hated it. I'm still a fan of the selection committee concept in general. I don't think this committee, the football committee, is as sound as the basketball committee. The basketball committee, and I frankly think they should adopt this. I know we're talking about 68 teams, but every year there's some bubble team that everybody thinks is going to get in that gets left out because they played the number 327 non-conference schedule. Do that in football. Flat out say, if you don't play a strong non-conference schedule, we're going to leave you out of this thing, and then we'll get great games. I think if you stick to the way they've been doing it and basically just say, well, you went undefeated, congrats. You're going to see teams do the opposite. They're not incentivized to schedule tough.
Yeah, well, I would love to see that. Now, he likes the College Football Playoff Committee. He just wants to see it sounds like an expanded committee. I don't know. The NCAA Basketball Committee, it's much more comprehensive as far as numbers is concerned. It's much more comprehensive as far as diversity is concerned. But is that the answer? Just more humans in order to create balance? Is that the answer?
I kind of soured on it when I first heard it, but now that I think about it, I'm like, yeah. Yeah, I think that could be an option. I'd be really interested in how you're going to expand it and which guys you're going to bring in. You need some homeboys, right?
Yeah.
You need some guys advocating for you, some guys that aren't going to ignore you and aren't necessarily in your corner. I don't want to say that, but guys that you can trust to not overlook you. And I don't think that's there right now.
Yeah. I want metadata. You can combine human elements human polls, media polls, coaches polls, and the other metric systems that we hold true to, at least from a fan standpoint, from a coaching standpoint. We'll go to break. Coming up next, what's cooking with the Cougars here on the Cougar Sports Insider Radio Network, 94.5 FM and ESPN 960.
It's rush hour, and you're heading home after a long day. Now the question becomes, what are you going to pick up for dinner? Ben Criddle tells you what you should pick up and also gives you the latest news that's cooking with BYU Sports in What's Cooking with the Cougars here on ESPN 960.
Welcome back, Cougar Sports, ESPN 960. This is Cougar Country. I'm Ben Criddle, broadcasting live from our Wasatch Medical Clinic, WasatchMedicalClinic.com studios. It is time for What's Cooking with the Cougars. Always brought to you by Moochie's, MoochiesMeatballs.com. Get yourself something delicious, something delectable at Moochie's. It's award-winning food. It truly is amazing food. MoochiesMeatballs.com. Peruse the menu. The delectable, delicious sandwiches. They're tantalizing, and they will fill your mortal body with sustenance. Authentic Philly cheesesteaks, the cheese chicken sandwich, the atomic meatball sandwich. You name it, they got it. You can try the sides as well, fried ravioli, sweet potato fries, cheese curds. Go to Moochie's, MoochiesMeatballs.com, and try out all the deliciousness today. All right, news and notes that your heart desires. Here's a couple things that have dropped. As I mentioned earlier, I don't even know who Big Game Boomer is, but he does put out some pretty good rankings, and I like it as conversational pieces in the offseason. He ranked out the top 25 transfer players entering the 2021 season. Puka Nacua ranked 22nd. Too high, too low, or just right? We think it's just right here at ESPN 960. West Coast college football. Preview the Utah versus BYU game. They know how to get clicks. West Coast college football, they seem to, whenever they want tweets, retweets, additional followers, they'll tag BYU and they'll tag Utah and create a bit of a rivalry on Twitter. So an individual by the name of, he represents West Coast college football, Nick Batty. I don't know if he's necessarily a reporter, but he reports for West Coast college football. That's West Coast CFB. He did a preview of Utah and BYU and ranked out by position who had the advantage and why. So has the quarterback position going to Utah. Why? Because you got a transfer or two there at Utah, maybe a proven entity, Power 5 entity. But BYU is pretty dang good as well. But he leans on Brewer and says Utah has the competitive advantage there. Running back room, BYU. That's a tough one, even though there has been maybe some attrition up on the hill. But BYU, I guess, with Lopini Katoa and Tyler Algier, taking some Pro Football Focus stats and returning production, I get it. I understand why you're going that route. Wide receiver, BYU, all day, every day. Tight end, Utah, getting the nod. I agree to disagree. Offensive line, even. We'll see how it plays out there. Defensive line, Utah. Linebacker, even. Secondary, Utah. Special teams, Utah. Now that one is up for debate. The special teams one, I will debate that one. Coaching, Utah. Home field, BYU. Conclusion is this, he states. BYU has enough pieces to make this a very close matchup, but a lot will depend on whether or not BYU can find a quarterback to fill in nicely for Zach Wilson without a major drop-off. Utah is definitely the more experienced team after BYU had 5 players selected in the past draft, but traveling to Lowell Edwards is never easy, and the environment should be intimidating, to say the least. BYU football recruiting news. Devon Rice, the brother of BYU's Quinton Rice, announced he received an offer from BYU. It's his first Division I scholarship. He's a class of 2024 running back. He's 5'9", 160 pounds at a Bishop Gorman High School in Viva, Las Vegas. Also, the son of a legendary Cougar, as well as his lineage is strong, in Rodney Rice. So if you don't know who he is, you can Google him and check it out today at the BYU Cougars website. Also, BYU received a commitment from Dallin Johnson. He's from the 2024 class. He's a defensive lineman, 6'3", 270 pounds out of Springville. He told Cougs Daily and BYU Sports Illustrated, I've always wanted to be here. No other school can offer me anything that means more. My visit was amazing. I had a chance to meet coaches and see the campus. I loved every second of it. We caught up with him earlier in the show. Check out that interview on our podcast, iTunes, Spreaker, Stitcher, Google Play Music, iHeartRadio, Spotify, wherever you get your podcast, you can listen to that particular interview. BYU basketball recruiting news. Check this out. Or just basketball recruiting news in general. Number of players in the transfer portal is, per John Rothstein of CBS Sports, 1,663. It's a lot of players. Number of players who enter the transfer portal and have not currently found a new school, 580. The percentage of players who enter the transfer portal and have not currently found a new school, 35.1%. So the grass is not always greener on the other side, I guess. Colin Chandler, as we mentioned last week, he had made an unofficial visit to BYU and recently received an offer from BYU. I've been told he's visiting many schools, including Stanford, this week. So tough competition. Colin Chandler, he's been deemed as coming out of Utah Prospects, that particular program, AAU program here in the state of Utah. He's the second best to come out of that program. He's the second best behind Frank Jackson. And we've had plenty of great prospects come from Utah Prospects. Some of them lasted at BYU. Yoli Childs, for instance, was pretty dang good. I think he was one of the Utah Prospects players. Most recently, Connor Harding, who's now at Utah Valley University, I believe. But he was really good coming out. So we'll see what happens with Colin Chandler, how great he can be, and whether or not he becomes a Cougar. But comes from a Utah family. Can BYU convert him? He looks good in that royal blue. And he's a great athlete. Super long, 6'4", 190, can jump out of the gym. Love him. BYU baseball news. Last week we talked about Andrew Pintar. He was named the 2021 Collegiate Baseball News Freshman All-American team last week. We congratulate him again. BYU women's volleyball adds another transfer to the 2021 recruiting class. All right, Mr. Or Mrs. Olmstead. I love what you're doing here. BYU women's volleyball head coach Heather Olmstead has announced the signing of graduate transfer Aria McCumber from Washington State University. McCumber is a 5'6" libero defensive specialist from Kapolei, Hawaii. Recently graduated from Washington State with a bachelor's degree in business administration and a minor in Chinese. She will be eligible to play for the Cougars this fall and has 3 years of eligibility remaining. Holy cow, 3 years of it. That girl is smart. My daughters are as smart as this young lady, man. She is a hard-working individual. I love it. Aria has played volleyball at a high level for a good team, Olmstead stated. She has great energy, passion for learning, and the desire to get better. She is a team player and is willing to do whatever the team needs to be successful. Aria knows the state of Utah well and has many ties to BYU. We look forward to having Aria join us. So there you go. Appearing in all 16 matches during her second full season at Washington State, McCumber started at libero in nearly all the team's contests, playing in all 62 sets. McCumber was second on the team with 158 digs and 59 assists. She posted a career-high 20 digs against Oregon while helping Washington State to its fifth consecutive NCAA tournament appearance. Congratulations to her. Looking forward to watching her at Brigham Young University. Big news over the weekend. We got another national champion, Anna Kemp Bennett, in track and field cross-country news. Anna Kemp Bennett claimed the NCAA title in the women's 1,500 meters with a school record-breaking 4:08.53. So 4 minutes, 8 seconds, and 53 tenths to lead BYU women's track and field to a 10th place finish at the NCAA Outdoor Track and Field Championships on Saturday at Hayward Field. Camp Bennett used an incredible kick with a little more than 100 meters remaining to claim the 1,500-meter national title. Tremendous finish. The senior earned All-America first-team honors and became the first Cougar to win the NCAA title in the event since 2000. This is what Anna Kemp Bennett had to say. My race plan is always pretty simple. I just try to sit in that top group and hope my speed can carry me through. Luckily, the other girls were so fast and set good paces. There were a lot of girls that were really, really quick, and I was hoping it would turn out, and it did. With Camp Bennett supplying 10 points of her own, the BYU women's team totaled 20 points total, 20 total points to finish 10th in the standings. It marked the best finish at the Outdoor Championship since 2005 when they finished 10th as well. The BYU men's placed 17th in the final standings with their competition at the championship meet concluding on Friday. This is the second season in a row that both men's and women's programs have finished in the top 25, and the first time since 2009 that both teams placed in the top 20. That's pretty much it. I guess we can talk about West Coast Conference Commissioner Cup as well. BYU won the 2020-2021 West Coast Conference Commissioners Cup, awarded to the West Coast Conference institution enjoying the most success during conference play. So it happens again. Congratulations. Other news and notes, BYU Football Media Day will take place later this week, Thursday. If you have any questions, hit us up at Criddle Benjamin at ESPN 960 Sports. Also, NFL news as it relates to Cougars in the pros as well. Andy Reid getting some heat from former running back Le'Veon Bell. In a recently deleted post on social media, Chiefs running back Le'Veon Bell said, "I'll never play for Andy Reid again. I'd retire first." On Sunday, Bell offered clarification to his initial tweet. He said, "I said what I said. I don't regret at all what I said. For those who have a personal problem with me because of what I said, that's fine. You have your right. Just understand I also have my right for how I feel about my personal problem with the dude because of what he said to me." He continued, "Never did I say I didn't enjoy my time in KC because I loved my time there and was probably the closest locker room full of players I ever been around. I enjoyed my teammates, the city, the food, the fans, just about everything in KC. I'm not about to get all into depth on why I feel the way I do, but I have my right to feel the way I feel. The only thing I would change is commenting how I really felt on social media. I'll admit that's something I could have and should have kept to myself, and I apologize about that, and that only, but I don't regret what I said because that's how I feel. So you can love me or hate me. I'm going to be fine regardless. I'm just giving you a small version from my point of view on why I said what I said." As mentioned, it seems like there is a little bit of a pattern here with Le'Veon Bell. Okay? Past performance isn't always a predictor of future performance, but it is a good indicator. So if you are a bit high maintenance, if you can't get along with others, if you can't be a team player, if you're more egocentric in nature, then you're probably going to struggle to fit in the best team game known to man, which it is. And just because you were one of the best running backs in the NFL, how many years has it been? 3? 4? 4 years now. Doesn't mean you still are. Unfortunately, the market determines how valuable you are, and you're just not as valuable as you once thought you were. So better learn to play nice with others, maybe be a little bit more introspective and take some advice from Michael Jackson, I guess, and start by looking at yourself in the mirror. Le'Veon Bell. College football news. College Football Playoff released an official announcement last week. 12-team playoff. The working group was appointed by their management committee colleagues and has met over a 2-year period to discuss possible new formats. The proposal calls for the bracket each year to include the 6 highest-ranked conference champions plus the 6 highest-ranked other teams as determined by the College Football Playoff Selection Committee. No conference would qualify automatically, and there would be no limit on the number of participants from a conference. All that, and I still am not convinced BYU has access inside a conference or outside a conference. And by inside a conference, I mean G5 conference, because you ain't crossing that threshold. There are too many barriers for entry in that P5dom. Just not there yet, guys. All right, that's our show. Appreciate everyone tuning in, everyone chiming in. Appreciate Dallin Johnson, Ryan Teeples, Jordan Pendleton, Brandon C. Gurney. I appreciate Bryce Larson, our executive producer. Big Cougar roar to Ronald Weaver as well, social media manager as we went throughout the show. Appreciate everyone who chimed in, tuned in. If you missed any of it, download the podcast, iTunes, Spreaker, Stitcher, Google Play Music, iHeartRadio, Spotify. Give us a rating, give us a review. Support our sponsors. Can't do our show without our sponsors. We'll be back mañana here on your Cougar Sports Insider Radio Network, 94.5 FM and ESPN 960.
Discover the new 3-Step Pro Partial Range, specifically designed to clean your partials and remaining teeth in 3 simple steps. Clean your partial, strengthen your natural teeth, protect your whole mouth. Stand up to further tooth loss with Polident Pro Partial. Available at Walmart.
Introducing Peacock, the new free streaming service from NBC Universal. It's hit movies, current shows, live sports, trending bits, and timeless hits. And that's why you can't not watch. Peacock. Watch for free. Upgrade for more. Stream now at peacocktv.com. Law & Order SVU streaming now.